Maleficent. Maleficent took one missed party invite and turned it into a national crisis. Well, not a party exactly. It was Princess Aurora's christening, a royal ceremony to welcome the newborn heir. While other villains plotted for thrones or revenge, she cursed a baby. She didn't curse a traitor or a rival. She cursed a royal newborn just to make a point and because she felt disrespected. She showed up at the christening uninvited, walked straight into the royal hall, or rather green smoked in, and acted like she belonged there. Calm, polite, almost friendly, until she cursed the baby to die at 16 and disappeared in green fire. She blamed King Stefan for the insult, but deep down, she didn't need a reason. She enjoyed it, and she never let it go. While Aurora hid in the woods, Maleficent sent an army of henchmen to find her. For 16 years, they searched for a baby. Not a teenager, a baby, because they thought she would stay a baby for 16 years. The moment she realized they'd been searching for a baby all these years, she cracked. First came the laughter, then came the rage. A lot of it. The only one she truly trusted was her raven, Diablo. Everyone else was either a servant, a target, or an idiot. And when the curse finally worked, she wasn't finished. She locked up Prince Philip, mocked him for trying to be a hero, and promised he'd be old and broken by the time he escaped. Then she turned into a dragon just to make sure no one ruined her ending. Maleficent was cruel in a way that didn't need a reason. She just liked watching people suffer. Ursula. Ursula lived in the darkest part of the ocean, kept 2 electric eels as pets, and basically ran a magical loan shark business for desperate merfolk. She wasn't part of King Triton's royal court anymore. She got kicked out. She got kicked out because she wanted power, and she wasn't so subtle about it. She made deals. That was her thing. You came to her with a problem, she offered a solution, but the fine print was always brutal. One unlucky mermaid wanted to be human, so Ursula gave her legs and took her voice. That unlucky mermaid was Ariel. There was no singing, no talking, just awkward hand gestures and a ticking clock. If Prince Eric didn't kiss her in 3 days, her soul belonged to Ursula, and Ursula did everything she could to make sure that kiss never happened. She turned herself into a hot brunette version of the mermaid, used Ariel's stolen voice to hypnotize the prince, and nearly married him just to ruin everything, all while cackling and zapping things for fun. Ruining Ariel wasn't enough. Ursula wanted King Triton on his knees, defeated and forced to watch her win. When Triton offered himself in Ariel's place, Ursula took his crown, his magic, and grew 50 feet tall. Giant tentacles, hurricane winds, and full villain monologue unlocked. Ursula wanted pure chaos and pain, screaming eels and sunken ships, and for a second she almost had it. If it weren't for one sharp piece of wood and an angry prince with good aim, she'd still be down there, turning mermaids into sea slugs for fun. Jafar. Jafar started as the royal advisor in Agrabah, but he was basically running the place. The Sultan trusted him with everything, and Jafar used that power to look for one thing: more power. Like almost every Disney villain, he wasn't satisfied with robes and influence. He wanted the throne, the magic, and full control over everyone's fate. He found a shortcut in the form of a magic lamp buried deep in the desert. The only problem was that he couldn't touch it. The lamp could only be taken by someone called a diamond in the rough. So Jafar tricked a poor street kid named Aladdin into going in for him, then tried to leave him trapped underground once he got what he wanted. That plan didn't work, so Jafar tried another angle: hypnotize the Sultan, force the princess into marriage, and take over the kingdom with politics and a staff that glowed like a snake. But then Aladdin came back with the lamp, and that was his mistake. Jafar got the lamp for himself and wished big. First he made himself a sultan, then a sorcerer, then a literal genie. Each wish made him stronger and more unstable. By the time he hit genie mode, he was massive, red, and covered in smoke and ego. But there was one catch: genies live in lamps. Jafar got all the power he asked for, and a prison to go with it. Jafar got the magic, sure, but he also got a lamp, chains, and a future spent granting wishes for someone else. Not exactly what he had in mind. Scar. Scar was the kind of uncle who smiled like he was planning your funeral. He lived in the shadow of his older brother, Mufasa, the king everyone loved. Scar had brains, charm, and just enough patience to wait for the perfect moment to ruin everything. He didn't want to fight for the throne because that's too much work. Instead, he wanted to cheat for it. So he teamed up with a pack of hungry hyenas, set a trap in a canyon, and let nature do the rest. One stampede later, Mufasa was dead, and Scar stood over Simba, blaming him for it. Then he told the kid to run away and never come back, which is basically villain code for, "I'm about to take your crown." And he did. Once Scar took over, the Pride Lands fell apart fast. The skies turned gray, food ran out, and the hyenas ate whatever moved. Scar promised peace and balance. What he delivered was famine and fear. And he didn't care. As long as he had power, the rest could rot. But Simba grew up, and one day, he came back. Scar tried to spin more lies, but the pride saw through him. When the truth came out that Scar killed Mufasa, even the hyenas turned on him. Scar just wanted to be the king and to win, and when it all fell apart, he had no one left to lie to. Mother Gothal. Mother Gothal wasn't anyone's mother. She was a centuries-old woman who found a magic flower that kept her young forever, as long as she sang to it. But when the royal family took that flower to heal the sick queen, Gothal panicked. The magic didn't disappear. Instead, it transferred into the king and queen's baby. So Gothal did what any loving fake mom would do. She stole the baby. Not to raise her, not to love her, just to keep the magic going. That baby was Rapunzel. And the moment she showed signs of singing and glowing, Gothal locked her in a tower and called it parenting. She fed Rapunzel lies like vitamins, told her the world was dangerous, people were cruel, and her mother was the only one who cared. And it worked. Rapunzel spent 18 years trapped in a tower, brushing her magic hair and thanking Gothal for the privilege. But when Rapunzel finally escaped and started asking questions, Gothal snapped. She followed her, threatened her, and guilt-tripped her like a professional. She didn't use fireballs or armies. Instead, she used only basic manipulation. When Rapunzel offered to stay forever just to save someone else's life, Gothal agreed, not out of love, but because the magic would be safe again. But it was too late. One haircut later, the spell was broken, and so was Gothal. She never cared about Rapunzel, just the power growing out of her head. Prince Hans. Prince Hans looked like a walking fairy tale. Polite, handsome, good at singing duets, and ready to marry Princess Anna 5 minutes after meeting her. He helped around the castle, calmed the people when Elsa fled, and acted like he was born to lead. But none of it was real. Hans was the youngest of 13 brothers, stuck at the bottom of the royal food chain. Back home, he was a nobody, so he made a plan. Charm his way into a kingdom that didn't have a king. And Anna, sweet and impulsive, made that plan easy. When Anna started dying from a frozen heart, Hans didn't help. He let her collapse, walked away, and told everyone the curse had already killed her. Then he marched straight to Elsa, told her her sister was dead, and acted heartbroken while waiting for the throne to be his. For a minute, it almost worked. He had the guards, the council, and the public all on his side. But he underestimated Anna, Elsa, and the fact that real love wasn't something you could fake. By the end, Hans got knocked out, publicly exposed, and sent home by boat with no throne, no power, and no plan B. He didn't use magic, and he didn't need an army, just a perfect smile, a quick lie, and the patience to stab you when your back was turned. Kruella Deville. Kruella had money. She had connections. What she didn't have was a fur coat made from Dalmatian puppies, and she was obsessed with getting one. She wasn't a witch or a queen or a sorceress, just a rich fashion addict with no morals, no patience, and zero interest in basic human decency. When she saw her friend's Dalmatian puppies, she didn't ask to pet them, she asked how soon they'd be ready to skin. Cruella already wore fur, a lot of it, but she wanted something new, something spotted, so she hired thugs to kidnap Dalmatian puppies from a nice couple in London. Then she went further. She started collecting others, strays, litters, whatever she could find. Her goal? 101 puppies, enough for one coat. Just one. She wasn't subtle either, drove like a maniac, screamed at everyone, and lit up cigarettes like she was the final boss of a fashion crime video game. The only thing scarier than her ideas was her temper. If anything went wrong, she'd shriek, threaten, and nearly crash her car trying to fix it herself. Cruella only has money money, madness, and a closet that probably violated multiple laws, her whole plan fell apart when the puppies escaped and disguised themselves in soot. But in the end, she lost everything: the coat, the dogs, the last shred of her sanity. The Evil Queen. The Evil Queen ruled with elegance, mirrors, and pure insecurity. She just wanted to be the most beautiful woman alive, and the second she wasn't, she snapped. Her magic mirror told her the truth. Someone younger, kinder, and prettier had taken her spot. That someone was Snow White. So the queen decided the solution wasn't to take the self-improvement path. Instead, it was killing her. First, she sent a huntsman to take Snow White into the woods and kill her. When he failed, she brewed a potion, disguised herself as an old woman, and handed Snow White a poisoned apple. Not to get rid of an enemy, just to win a beauty contest that no one else was competing in. The queen didn't care how dark it got. She turned her castle into a lab full of potions and spells, talked to skeletons in her dungeon, and worked herself into madness, all to stop one teenage girl from existing. And the craziest part was that her plan almost worked. Snow White took one bite and dropped. No spells, no fighting, but evil doesn't always get a clean ending. The queen tried to run, got caught in a storm, and was crushed by a falling boulder. A not so pretty ending. Captain Hook. Captain Hook was less of a pirate and more of a drama queen with a boat. He sailed through Neverland, looking for one thing: Peter Pan. He just wanted revenge on the kid who cut off his hand and fed it to a crocodile. Now the crocodile follows him everywhere, hoping for the rest of the meal. And Hook hears it coming. Tick-tock, tick-tock, a walking reminder that his past is always right behind him. Hook commands a ship, wears fancy coats, and swings a sword like he's doing theater. But for all his threats, he's surrounded by goofballs. His crew is useless, his plans fall apart, and every time he tries to win, Peter Pan turns it into a joke. He's fighting youth itself, loud, fearless, and always one step ahead, and it drives him mad. Still, Hook never quits. He keeps chasing Peter, shouting orders and nearly falling off his own ship once a day. Even when he's humiliated, blasted into the sky, or swallowed half alive, he just keeps showing up. He doesn't want to grow up, but he doesn't want anyone else to stay young either. Hades. Hades ran the underworld like a burned-out manager who hated his job and everyone in it. While Zeus got the skies, Poseidon got the seas, and the gods partied on Mount Olympus, Hades got stuck with ghosts, lava, and paperwork, and he never let anyone forget it. He wasn't a fireball-throwing monster, more like a fast-talking deal-maker with anger issues, hair made of blue flame, mouth always moving, and a temper that could turn a volcano into a firecracker. Hades wasn't thrilled to rule the dead. Instead, he wanted Olympus, so he made a plan. Wait for a rare planetary alignment, unleash the Titans, and wipe out the gods in one strike. But first, he had to deal with one problem: a baby named Hercules. A prophecy said the kid could ruin everything, so Hades sent minions to kidnap him and turn him mortal. It almost worked, but almost doesn't count when your entire plan depends on one kid staying weak forever. Years later, Hercules came back stronger than ever. Hades tried to stop him with monsters, lies, and even a deal to save someone he loved, but none of it stuck. When Hades finally lost, he got dragged into the river Styx by the same souls he used to rule, and no one pulled him back. Shir Khan. Shir Khan was the law of the jungle, at least in his own mind, calm, cold, and polite, but always just one step away from sinking his teeth into something. He didn't roar to scare people, he spoke quietly and let everyone else do the shaking. He hated fire and guns, but most of all, he hated humans. So when he heard there was a human child living among the wolves, he made one thing clear: either the boy left or he'd be removed permanently. He didn't rush, he stalked, watched, waited. Every animal in the jungle knew that once Shir Khan had his eye on you, it was only a matter of time. Mowgli was a target and a threat to him. Shir Khan didn't want to scare Mowgli, he wanted him gone, permanently, and the jungle knew he could do it. With one strike, no warning, and no mercy, even the boldest animals gave him space. He liked it that way, but Mowgli didn't run. He fought back, with brains, and when he used fire, one of the things Shir Khan feared, the tiger's pride turned into panic. He tried to lunge, but the jungle turned against him. Shir Khan ruled with fear, but in the end, it was fear that brought him down. Lady Tmaine. Lady Tmaine never raised her voice because she didn't need to. Her silence did the work. While other villains used spells or swords, she used a smile, calm, polite, and terrifying. She married Cinderella's father for status, then let her jealousy do the rest. When he died, she kept the house, locked Cinderella in the attic, and turned her into a servant in her own home. No chains, just commands and chores. She spoiled her own daughters, Anastasia and Drizella, who had the grace of startled goats and the attitude of rotten fruit. But it didn't matter. She wasn't trying to raise them right. She was trying to push them to the top, no matter who got crushed along the way. When news spread that the prince was looking for a bride, she knew what that meant, a shot at power. Cinderella? Not a chance. Lady Tmaine destroyed her dress, locked her in a room, and tried to shove her daughters into glass slippers that didn't fit. Love didn't matter to her. What mattered was control, quiet, strict, and constant. And when Cinderella got her happy ending anyway, Lady Tmaine didn't throw a fit, she just stared like the story betrayed her. Gaston. Gaston was the kind of guy who treated Amir like a best friend. Loud, muscular, and proud of it. He walked around town like he already owned it. People cheered when he passed by, not because they liked him, but because it was easier than arguing. He wanted to marry Belle, not because he loved her, but because she was the only girl in town who didn't faint when he flexed. She read books. She had opinions. That made her interesting. Until she said no. And Gaston didn't take no. What started as a proposal turned into a slow obsession. He followed her, pressured her, and when that failed, he started plotting. When Belle's father came back talking about a beast in the woods, Gaston didn't ask questions. He saw a new plan. Lock up the dad, force Belle to say yes, and then go kill the beast just for fun. He turned a whole town into a mob, lit torches, gave speeches, led people straight to the castle like he was saving them, when really, he just wanted to be the hero of his own story. But the beast fought back. Belle chose love, and Gaston, standing on the edge of the castle roof, lost everything.